After the Arizona Cardinals secured Dalvin, Tomlinson after Josh Sweat, what's next? We got a report. Who could be coming in the desert next for the Redbirds? Plus, Johnny, our long nightmare's over nearly a year later.
Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys, supposedly you can buy them, but when? Plus, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network Insider stops by to talk all things Cards, Kyzir White, and especially our sweet baby Cam Scatterbo. A loaded show. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. We are back. We are back. We are getting football back. Hopefully good football in the desert with Arizona and the Arizona Cardinals. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast. Smash that like button. This is your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast feed. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack in Studio K. Damon, Dawg behind the mic. You were not hallucinating. We did do 3+ hours of content yesterday, and we are back in part because the Cardinals keep giving us stuff to talk about.
Our sweet baby Cards. Monti Ossenfort living up to his nickname, Chef Monty, cooking up those deals. And it came after a 2-hour marathon yesterday. Dalvin Tomlinson signed with the Cardinals, 2 years, $29 million, $16 million guaranteed. And then we did our emergency podcast. Some excited boys here. And then this morning we wake up. Yeah, Josh Sweat press conference. And there's also somebody else at the facility visiting, according to Field Yates, one of the top corners on the free agent market, which has been a slow kind of churn as far as DBs go. Asante Samuel Jr.
We reported on this show ahead of free agency, the Cardinals were not, it wasn't if, but when they signed a veteran. We were told they wanted a veteran in their mid to late 20s. That checks the box. And I know a lot of people are asking, like, what does this mean for the current crop of corners? That's a conversation for another day, but we are definitive. Like, they're going to sign a veteran corner and give Monti Ossenfort credit. Like, I asked, who did I ask recently? Can Asante Samuel play outside? And it was a resounding yes. Cardinals have Garrett Williams underneath. They have Max Melton. They have Sean Murphy-Bunting. They wanted a better outside corner to come in. And I know he didn't play a lot last year, had a shoulder injury, relegated him to about 13 games. He was a good player under Brandon Staley. That defense wasn't good, but he himself it was trending toward he was going to get a contract extension. I remember that draft where he went in the second round, and I think Keim got jumped by the Chargers or something happened where when the Cardinals took Rondale Moore, Asante Samuel Jr. just went a couple picks ahead. I mean, go look at his 2023. He's an outstanding coverage player. Now, there's a lot of people who are critical of his tackling skills, and obviously they'd want to improve that. Mm-hmm. Is anybody impressed with Sean Murphy-Bunting, how he tackles or covers? I think between Garrett Williams, Max Melton, and the safeties that you have, you got people who can tackle. They need better cover guys.
Yeah, you got some guys that are going to get their nose dirty. They're going to get into it, and they're going to be able to wrap up ball carriers. You need some guys with some ball skills, right? And I think Garrett Williams is the complete package, but he is a guy that the Cardinals, they love in the slot. There was every opportunity over the last 2 seasons for Garrett Williams to push outside. They value him in the slot and think that he can be the best possible player at that position. Sure, he might match up differently just given what, opposing offenses are throwing at you. But it's you want to get more depth. I think a veteran presence is somebody that could be out there on an island potentially. I know you're playing a lot of zone, but like Asante Samuel could be that guy. Could he offer maybe an upgrade? Can he just provide competition as far as that position goes? I think that's where you go. It's not an indictment on Max Melton. I think they're excited about Max Melton to hold down that spot. I think Asante Samuel comes in and is immediate competition for opposite Max Melton at the outside corner position.
But what we've seen now from Ossenfort, last year's free agency, it's a great omen that whether it's Asante Samuel or somebody else, just play the best players. Get competition in here. Don't be so consistently stubborn with the guys that you've signed in the past. Like, it was easy to come in and say, those are con guys, they can't play. And we supported you in cutting them and trading them. But when you make mistakes as a GM, one of the best opportunities you can have, or the best attributes, is self-awareness. Like, Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols and Sean Murphy-Bunting may have been on our timeline last year, not this year, not for a team that's trying to win 10, 11, 12 games, God forbid, win the NFC West for the first time in 10 years. So bringing in a guy like Asante Samuel, I know it's just a visit. Cardinals still have a lot of money to play around with. I was messing with it last night. Bo, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I still anticipate them having over $30 million.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got money that a lot of teams started free agency with. I mean, they have plenty of money to work with. Samuel probably want to sign a multi-year deal. Here's another reason real quick why this makes a lot of sense. The connection with Brandon Staley, and then also, like, his time with the Chargers was over. They have a new regime. Harbaugh's doing things a certain way. And if you're Asante Samuel, how do you not want to get around a DB savant like Jonathan Gannon?
Kingmaker at the position, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think he's a guy that would give you some upside. You know, people are kind of scared off. Hey, he's limited to 4 games last year with a shoulder injury, but the previous years before that, pretty durable. He played 1,100 snaps in 2023. He's a guy that I think you can count on to be out there. And, the 14 passes defense, the 2 picks, he seems to be, good for at least 2 interceptions year in and year out. And then you've got the true upside, I think, with the young bucks that you drafted, that you've continued to draft and develop. And with, by the day, the defensive front upgrading, and then a true chance to upgrade even more so come late April in the NFL draft. These cornerbacks are going to be licking their chops at maybe some balls that are going to be off their spot and tipped and be in harm's way from opposing quarterbacks. It's something that we've been waiting and craving since JG came over as the defensive mastermind from a 17 pick 70 sack performance going into the Super Bowl in 2022.
Like, Staley, Gannon, they all have ties to Zimmerman and Fangio, right? Mike Zimmer, I should say. Like, you can understand why there's a familiarity there. Like, the fit is the most important thing from a schematic standpoint. And clearly, Ossenfort and company have checked that box. You don't bring a guy in unless you think he can be a scheme fit. Now it's, how does he vibe with the coaches on a visit? Does the money line up, which is the most important thing? And is he healthy? I would imagine he's relatively healthy from that. He's been out most of the year, and they shut him down. The Chargers did. So, again, it's not a magic elixir, but here's what it does allow you to do. It's like, we have not seen Elijah Jones play football yet. Can he play?
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. But it's like, now you've got a great mix of Starling Thomas and Max Melton and Keitrell Clark and Garrett Williams. We'll see what they do with Sean Murphy-Bunting. Like, you've got a group of guys where athleticism is not a question mark. And then this kid's he's played in playoff games. He went to the postseason with Brandon Staley. So I think it's right in that sweet spot where if they, I know it was a tough loss, that comeback game against the Jags, but they're in that sweet spot where you can say, like, give him 2 years, $20 million, $10 million a year. I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what his market is. It's such kind of an enigma, right? Because of the injury. And then also the Chargers is choosing to kind of not entertain bringing him back. Yeah. Kind of curious to see how they've just approached that DB room in general. Like Christian Fulton, I thought that they hit on him free agency last year, and now he's a member of the Kansas City Chiefs after the tampering period. So they're getting a little bit of a makeover there. Maybe Jim Harbaugh just plans on bringing all his Michigan guys with him. Who knows? He might. But look, this would be an absolute just depth competition move for the Cardinals that we know that's how they feel like they're going to field the best team, is creating competition. They've drafted, developed, they're supplementing, and they're creating competition in route to fielding their best 53 come opening week in September.
How about this? I forgot this from Sam. Asante Samuel did have 3 interceptions in that playoff game off of Justin Herbert. Now, they lost. Staley's defense was a disaster in the second half, but Asante Samuel had 3 interceptions of Trevor Lawrence in that playoff. I completely forgot, because here's what we were concerned about. We were openly rooting for the Chargers in that game. Why? Because we didn't want Brandon Staley to be fired so that they would hire Sean Payton. And we were living that reality, and we thought that was going to happen. And then they rolled it back with with Brandon Staley and Sean Payton ended up in their division, but three interceptions in a playoff game. Is that good?
Yeah. Mars 311's just saying PFF keeps mocking us. Will not Johnson. Stop, PFF. Will you stop it? Stop.
Get Trevor.
Defensive front seven player. It's got to happen.
They've taken too many corners. They love their secondary. Did you see Gannon in our interview talking about his secondary? Yeah. Like, we grilled him about the front seven for half that interview, and then we threw him a softball question about the secondary, and he lit up because he loves it.
Yeah.
Taylor Demerson's going to be a star. Budda Baker, stud. Jalen Thompson's on the team. Can he rebound? I think he can. Garrett Williams and Max Melton, Elijah Jones, Starling Thomas. Like, there's enough there. You don't need another corner. Come on.
Yeah. Charlie Sinclair, we'll get to a super chat here earlier just because it goes with this conversation. Teams hunt Asante Samuel Jr. in the run game. Look, I mean, if you're getting running backs on corners, you're already in a bad spot. You just are. I mean, you got to do a lot of that work up front. And if you're getting, you're the ball carrier on a DB, it's a good scheme. It's good execution from the offense just to get to that point.
We got over 800 already. You guys are on fire. Smash that like button on the heels of a monster day yesterday. We're going to keep talking to Asante Samuel Jr., but I do want to pivot ever so slightly as we keep up with the Joneses here. The Cardinals, Bo, introduced Josh Sweat today on the heels of signing Dalvin Tomlinson last night to play nose tackle. I mean, what do you make of the last 24 hours? Did Monti Ossenfort wake up after, Josh Sweat on Monday morning?
This is Monti Ossenfort. He's coming back to us. He drove off with the sheepdog van and he's driving a moped. And what's he done? He's completely redeemed himself. Here on day 4 of the offseason, the second day of the new league year. I mean, last night, it was just a gift right there. Gift after Christmas. You thought he'd open up all the gifts. You're a little disappointment. You didn't check off a whole lot of the ones on your list. And there he is. Just a big, beefy Dalvin Tomlinson, Dalvy Tomley, coming in here. And we're
a Dalvy Tomley.
We got one. I'll take one. 2 years, $29 million. And people looking at it as an overpay, but that's what free agency is all about. It's a need that they had to address. And outside of Milt Williams, who I've got a little tidbit for you later in the show after we talk about Josh Sweat a little bit. I think in the conversation for one of the better just nose tackles in this free agent class.
Let's dive into Josh Sweat. We got Garofalo on deck. We've got so much stuff to dive into. I asked Bo, I said, mock draft today? And he said, Johnny, not today. Not today, mock draft. We're not
even going to tease it. We're not even going to pretend to try to fit it in. It's firmly in Friday's show. And then we'll see. We'll see what the news cycle brings us here. That's outpacing this little fanboy podcast.
Garofalo, Josh Sweat, MHJ, Asante Samuel, all that and more coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. Here's what I need. I need Asante Samuel to sign a contract. I need him to be picked up at the airport, even though he's already here by our friends at Waymo. Wouldn't be surprised if he was picked up by Waymo. They've got the all-electric Jaguar I-Pace vehicles, providing a consistent zero-emission experience for their riders. Waymo's autonomous ride-hailing service is elite. Don't ask anybody but us, because we'll tell you from firsthand experience. I love going on the Waymo app. Download it today. They're doing 150,000 trips per week across San Fran, LA, and Phoenix. Those sound like good places to live? Waymo thinks so. Waymo was the first company to serve as the fully autonomous ride with no human being behind the wheel since 2015, 10-year anniversary. Waymo has over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience. That's enough to drive to the moon and back 80 times. Again, download the Waymo app today, ride today, and tell them PHNX Cardinals sent you, Bo.
Love the Waymo One app. If I could, I'd abandon my truck, and just take the Waymo One to and from work. Also, something I'd like to abandon is just not having pizza every meal. I love Spinato's Pizza, and I want to eat it all the time. Spinato's Pizzeria, of course, the official pizzeria of the Phoenix Suns. They're your destination, your Phoenix Suns watch parties, and they got a contest going on. It's just like horse, but it's spelled Pizza. You can win yourself some Suns tickets. Don't miss out on the action. Love Spinato's Pizzeria. We just had it on Friday, and then we had it again on Monday, courtesy of our friend Carol Royce. I've been putting it back at a high rate, and I love it. I mean, spicy Italian, sign me up. You got a little bit of onions and jalapenos. Who doesn't like that? My kid loves the Kevin McAllister strictly cheese pizza. It's fantastic. Get all the info on their watch parties, their pizza contest at SpanatosPizzeria.com. You can also make your order there to be delivered to your house, your home. Spanatos, the official pizza of Phoenix Suns.
Love our friends at Spanatos. I'd love a fresh pie to celebrate free agency. We got Garofalo around the corner talking all things Arizona Cardinals. But first, Bo talked to a brand new member of the Arizona Cardinals today in Sweaty J. What were your impressions of our newest pass rusher in the desert, Bo?
He's kind of a soft-spoken dude, but pretty clear on what he wants at this point in his career. Comes on, obviously, with a familiarity with Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis, and I think really trying to kind of have an extension of what he was able to do in Philadelphia. Versatile cat, a guy that can, but really wants to kind of pen his ears back and get after the passer. We talked about, obviously how did Jonathan Gannon unlock him like he did in 2022, and this was Sweaty J's answer.
I mean, he didn't put me in that shell. He just said, "Let's go, just come on." Ain't no need to, ain't no need to do all that. Like we trying to get it done. So,
can I just say? When I saw Josh Sweat quickly, that I thought those were puka shells around his neck. I thought it was like, throwing it back to my time as a sixth grader. I digress. Go ahead, Bo.
I think, we've all got some puka shells in our past that we want to continue to cover up. Was it like some pearls in that, right?
Yeah, they were pretty nice.
Yeah, a lot nicer than probably the one you were rocking from American Eagle. We had Sweat also, what his view was of his new organization, the Cardinals.
I mean, what I see is a team that's doubled their wins, ascending, trying to be better, you know what I'm saying? So whatever I can do to just, help get over the hump, win more games, that's all I want to do. I just want to win more games, man. So I'm here I wanted to help. That's it. Lead however I can and bring whatever I have been taught, or whatever. I just want to win. That's it.
I think it was appealing, the idea of coming in and being the top dog, right? Being the pass rusher, not having to play second fiddle to anybody, and also kind of be the guy in that room. Whether it's the current group where he said he met up with BJ Ojulari at the facility today, Zaven Collins, Baron Browning, like he wants to be the leader of that group, but also have the option of familiarity from his previous stint in Philadelphia, where he said he's just one of those guys that tried to fit in early on. It was a bit of a late bloomer, but it was Gannon that was able to truly kind of unlock him. And I think he's looking forward to doing that even more so. Like Gannon wasn't just like, this is going to be your role. You have to do this, and you have to really kind of color within the lines here. Like Gannon, it really felt like just hearing Sweat today was just like, just go crazy, man. Do what you want. Obviously, get out of your shell and make plays for us on defense. And then, finally, we wanted to, before I get to the little tidbit post press conference, Sweat, I'm playing, against his now current quarterback, Kyler Murray.
You competed against Kyler a couple times now in your career. What's it going to be like, or how excited are you to have him be your guy now that's going to be on running the offense?
Man, I ain't gonna lie. He the only. I don't miss many tackles or anything, but I've missed sacks on him twice, both times. I've seen him play. I know what type of guy he is, man. So I'm excited to be around him. He can go for sure.
He's a football player, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's gonna go up there and be Mr. Radio guy. I mean, that's just a dog football player that could have been Super Bowl MVP. Like I don't need guys to put on a big show at a press conference. Like to me, it's just that guy's ready to go to work. I'm fired up about this edition, and I feel like on the surface level, people are sleeping on this nationally too. I just haven't seen it talked about very much.
He said that he really hasn't had an opportunity to celebrate the Super Bowl. It's win the game, there's the parade, and then next thing you know, you're in free agency. And then also kind of revealed like people want to call Vic Fangio like this genius, but it really was like, hey, we just get after Patrick Mahomes, and they were able to get after Patrick Mahomes with rushing 4, and they were disruptive because of guys like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams making ratcheting up the pressure on Patrick Mahomes, either sacking him or forcing him into bad throws like the Cooper DeJean pick. It wasn't like a whole lot of like defensive mastery that was going on there. But then afterwards, he talked about like he expected to not be sitting there waiting by his phone early in the tampering period. Like he thought he was going to be one of the earlier signings and got into that a little bit. And was just fortunate like he was able to get it to his number with his representation. And then the Cardinals obviously fit the other criteria that he was seeking out. And, after the press conference, I introduced myself and I said, was your boy Milton kind of holding things up? And he's like, no, I mean, not necessarily, but Milton and I wanted to go to the same place together.
Well, we know the Cardinals had Milton Williams as their top target. Maybe they could have signed both. But you speak to that, and we've got Matt Garofalo around the corner that also discusses what that morning looked like on Monday. I'm sure that was much more stressful for Sweaty J early on than it was for Milton Williams, right? And like his market, I think he would have been signed by the end of Monday, don't you? If the Cardinals hadn't signed him, like the way things were trending. Now, I don't know if he would have gotten as much money from anybody else. The Cardinals clearly like they coupled with need and familiarity, and that's where that number came from. And it's still not an overpay in my opinion. It's just market value. So
right.
I think if you see people who maybe suggest like that was an overpay, like the Cardinals, who needs an edge rusher more than the Arizona Cardinals? We've beaten that horse for 18 months now. And then you just know what you're getting with a guy. Mm-hmm. Come in every year, consummate pro, plays every game, 8 to 10 sacks, is going to be there on Sundays, not on the inactive list. That's what they need.
Right. And can do all the things that Gannon and Rollis want from that position. And it's more than getting after the quarterback, but now you have that upside in that room. And it's going to be fascinating to see if Sweat can get back to the number that he last had under Gannon with 11 sacks, or maybe even best that, playing back in his defense. But him and Milton Williams wanted a package deal. And it's like Milton Williams he was the reason that a lot of the deals had to kind of take a back seat, because his number command, it was so high. And I think some teams had to kind of wait to see if they were in or out on him, if he would sign. And then the other teams that were in negotiations with Sweat or the free agents saying, hold on, we'll get to your number, but we got to figure this out first. And I think that's just probably, but it like really kind of putting in perspective, like the tampering period opened at 9 a.m. Arizona time, and Josh Sweat was signed by like just before noon.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long to become sign a $76.4 million deal.
I mean, longer than a guy like Kyzir White, or not as long as a guy like Kyzir White. Some of these free agents that are Amari Cooper. I mean, some of these guys, Cooper Kupp supposedly has a ridiculous number in mind of what he wants to be paid, and he hasn't been signed yet. So I think I'm sure Josh Sweat feels great about the situation that's unfolded, gets to play his former DC linebacker coach. Cardinals are fortunate to have him. What else they could do ahead of Dave, 5 in free agency? I asked while Bo was with Sweaty J, I had a chance to connect with Mike Garofalo. That's coming up next on PHNX Cardinals. Mike around the corner, but you're right around the corner from this, the vehicle of your dreams with our friends at Sanderson Ford. PHNX is proud to have Sanderson Ford as our official vehicle partner. I'm full-blown become a truck guy because it's truck month at America's largest Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. They've got hundreds of trucks on the lot, all of them marked down with big-time discounts for truck month. Choose from the entire lineup. We've got Rangers, F-150s, Mavericks, Super Duties. All those things feel like upgrades for me in my personal and professional life. Plus, check out the full-size Bronco. That's what I need to run over Bo's truck. Bronco Sport, marked down for truck month. Fantastic. Get the deals unmatched anywhere. 2024 models, 2025 financing offers start 36 months OAC through Ford credit. Discounts include Ford rebates. Again, save up to $4,000 on Ranger trucks plus 3.9% financing. Unbelievable. Unmatched deals. Offer expires on the 31st of this month. So go out, give it a test drive. Tell them PHNX Cardinal sent you.
Premeditated vandalism. That's what that is. And look, I'll press charges. Look, talked to Carol Royce earlier this week. It was fantastic. Carol Royce, there's nobody in this market that's going to give you the insight that she did as far as real estate. And, not to, cause hysteria or anything, but like it's a smart time to buy now. It's a good time to get in a home, because if you drag your feet on it now, it's going to be even tougher in the next couple of years. And to take out all of like even more questions, and it's such a daunting thing sometimes, Carol Royce puts you at ease with it because she knows this market for so long. She's been in it for 3 decades. Give Carol a call, her team, 480-776-5231. And get that peace of mind that Carol Royce is going to get the best deal you can find out there right now. Obviously, you've got VIP access to some off-market properties that haven't even been picked over. You're not going to find these homes on Zillow, on Realtor.com, all the things my wife is scrolling at night. Like I'm doom scrolling on Instagram. She's looking at those. Carol Royce has even more access to the homes that you need to see today. Carol Royce is so confident that you'll love your home that within the first 18 months, if you're not happy with it, Carol is going to buy it back. Check it out right now. Always, you're ready to find your dream home. Take the next step with Carol Royce and visit Carol Royce at carolroyceteam.com. It's carolroyceteam.com, and just give her a call today. If you're a little weary about whether or not you want to get in the market to buy a home, give her a call. Have that conversation with Carol Royce and her team. 480-776-5231. That's 480-776-5231.
Mike Garofalo, he's an ace for our team. Go get an ace on the golf course. How about this? It's the April 12th Scramble Dobson Ranch Golf Course. Again, that shotgun start at 2 p.m. How about that green jacket right there? Green jacket open.
You'll never see that green jacket.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me until I've had my limited edition PHNX gift pack. Again, get it now.
Don't get any of those either.
Foursome still available. We want to see you at Dobson Ranch. If you haven't been out there, it's fantastic. For first-class course, first-class people in service. I just like going and hitting balls at the range, getting a couple appetizers, checking out the TVs on the range. It is fantastic. We want to see you there, a part of PHNX and ALLCITY. Plus, right now, if you become a diehard for $36 a month, you're getting money off, baby, on this event and more. Again, check it out, 2 p.m., April 12th at the Scramble. Time to check in with our NFL insider, of course, of NFL Network. Check him out with the insiders. It's Mike Garofalo. And Mike, it's been busy with the Cardinals. It was a little bit of a slow burn over the last couple of days. Let's start with Monday. Milton Williams initially looked like the target. New England kind of went over the top, it appears, with everybody else. They pivot to Josh Sweat. What can you tell us about maybe those first 2 to 3 hours of free agency?
Yeah, they were definitely in on Milton Williams. Now, look, when we talked last time, I said that, Milton Williams, they've got other guys that can play that spot. So if they got him, it was great, but it wasn't like a necessity. It wasn't like we are going to bid and no matter what the price winds up getting to, like, this is going to be our guy. I've seen that plenty of times in free agency. I didn't get the sense on this one. I felt like they had a number that they were willing to get up to. And if you compare it to some of the other deals, New England went to a level that some of these other teams weren't willing to go to. The Cowboys with Osa Odigizua at $20 million, and then he comes in at 24. Milton does. Odigizua would have gotten there if he had hit the free agent market. Decided not to do that. Wanted to be back with the Cowboys. So, this was a deal where the Cardinals were like, well, this is just outrageous right now. We're bailing. And then you've got that money. And now you can reallocate it, right? Then you can direct it more towards Josh Sweat. If they sign Milton Williams, do they sign Josh Sweat too? Probably not, right? There's only so much money that you can allocate for positions, even if they're not, if it's defensive end, defensive tackle, it's still defensive line. So that was Plan B for them, and they were able to get that done. And you got the history of Jonathan Gannon with Josh Sweat, and they feel like he's going to be a big piece of the puzzle here. He did have a knee thing that I think some teams were a little concerned about, but the Cardinals felt good about it, and Gannon feels good about it, and now he's a Cardinal.
How competitive was Sweat's market? Because the Cardinals seemingly pivoted on a dime, got that done like 45 minutes later. Were there a number of teams that would have been interested? Do you feel like if the Cardinals hadn't signed Sweat, he gets another deal before the end of Monday?
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have gotten something elsewhere, but not for as much money. I mean, the fact that they were able to pivot and get that, and I say pivot, I mean, they were in it all the time, the entire way, but then it was like, okay, missing out on Williams, let's get Sweat now, a guy that we feel good about. So they were in it, and this is how it works. I mean, I've had a bunch of agents, talk to me about, well, team told me that they were in on my guy, and then all of a sudden they weren't. And a lot of times teams will be honest and say, hey, we've got something else we're working on. If this doesn't work out, then we're going to hit the gas on this one. I don't know what the communication was on this one, but I know that Sweat felt good about it. They felt good about it. The Cardinals did. And again, once the Milton Williams thing did not happen, then it was full throttle to get Sweat done, and they did.
Mike, we know on this show, the Cardinals have been making calls on pass rushers since last training camp, or trade deadline. They called on some big ticket names. I reported on our show a week ago, they at least inquired on Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, number one, that's still something that could come to fruition? Or do you feel like with Cincinnati right now, they're just not seriously entertaining trades for their all-pro pass rusher?
They are, but they want significant compensation back, and it's tough. It's tough to give up as much as you're going to have to give up for Trey Hendrickson plus the compensation. Like if you did that, whether it's Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or Micah Parsons, yes. I don't feel the same way about Trey Hendrickson, and the fact that it hasn't been done shows you that. It's like we're going to have to pay top dollar plus top compensation for that as well. So you're starting to hear a little bit more about how Hendrickson wants to be in Cincinnati and Cincinnati wants to make it work. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, this could pivot back the other way. But Hendrickson's going to fully flesh out all possibilities here before he decides what he wants to do with regard to maybe taking the best deal he could possibly get in Cincinnati instead of trying to find something else where I just feel like that's the hard part of this whole thing is giving up both for a guy who is really good, but you're talking about like top level talent in those other guys that I mentioned. Hendrickson's more of a production, hardworking type of guy who's going to get to the passer and get things done for you. These other guys are being talked about as like specimens, right? That's when you give up everything you possibly can for a guy.
Let's talk about the guard market. The Cardinals were reportedly one of the final three teams for Will Fries, who got a pretty it's free agency. Things are going crazy. Will Fries gets a 5-year contract, and that's a big deal. You told us on our show last week, like the eventual contract that Will Fries was going to sign would blow people away. Like, having said that, do you feel like there's an avenue for the Cardinals then to pivot to maybe a Mekhi Becton, or is that like a circumstance where Will Fries top guy on the market after Trey Smith, like everybody's going to go after him?
Will Fries, listen, the only guy that got, I think this still stands, the only guy that got a 5-year deal in free agency was Will Fries. Yeah. Everybody else was 3 or 4 years, which is weird because usually you have a bunch of 5-year deals in there, and that shows the willingness for teams to go after him on this one. The Cardinals were in the mix. Again, that was another one that came in. It's such a big number where it's like you're going to be in there to a certain point, and then that's just too rich. Why are we spending this much on one player? So when you say pivot to Mekhi Becton's market's not nearly what I thought it was going to be. I don't think what he thought it was going to be either, because he did really play well. Problem is there is a lot of, and he came into the NFL with question marks from when he was drafted. And now these question marks have sort of built up. And it's like 1 year didn't wash all that away. And a lot of people are looking at that saying, well, in the right place, with the right coach and the right scheme, Jeff Stoutland and everything that the Eagles offensive line coach was able to do, we can't replicate that here. So he's better off going back there. But the Eagles in the meantime are trading for Kenyon Green, who's going to be a bit of a reclamation project himself. So you could pivot to a guy on that level. I think they're certainly nosing around and seeing what's available. But as far as top level guards, they've mostly all been signed. I mean, I'm looking at my free agent sheets right now. Becton's up there. Tevin Jenkins, there's been questions about him as well. Brandon Scherf, has he retired yet? I heard he was going to retire. And listen, one of the other guys is Will Hernandez, who's coming off the ACL, who otherwise probably would have signed an extension with the Cardinals and been locked in there. Has had talks about other teams. There is interest in him. I know that. But I know some teams are saying, well, we're going to wait a little bit, and some seem to be more willing to do something in the near future. So I don't put the Cardinals in that latter portion. I think maybe if he's still available in a couple of months and he's fully healthy, that's a different deal. But then in the meantime, one team might wind up signing him. So we'll see.
Let's talk about the wide receiver crop right now. Devontae Adams, of course, goes to the LA Rams. Cooper Kupp release. Doesn't feel like the Cardinals are going to be in on Cooper Kupp, but I want to talk Cardinals specific here with you, Mike. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. They've got Michael Wilson, 2 young players on the outside. Underneath has kind of been a question mark for them. They re-sign Zay Jones to a contract, I think up to $4 million on a 1-year deal. Greg Dortch is tendered. Do you feel like there's an avenue to add another veteran? Because, this is an offense, fair or not, that whether it's Drew Petzing, Kyler Murray, et cetera, it has not emphasized wide receiver play. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, Mike, has the only 2 100-yard receiving games that Drew Petzing has produced as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So do you think it's about fit? Do you think it's about the availability of guys? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to wind up taking VSB, what they call the veteran salary benefit, which is basically a minimum contract. They only count so much against the cap, but it gives a guy a little bit more money than what that counts. And I think a lot of these guys are reluctant to sign that because they saw themselves as $2, $3, $4 million guys, and they're not quite getting there. So I think they'll probably nose around that section of the market as guys become more willing to sign those deals. I have not heard them mention with Cooper Kupp. I've heard the Seahawks mentioned, so he could wind up in the NFC West elsewhere other than the Rams, but I have not heard the Cardinals in that market. Doesn't seem, they spent a lot of money, so it doesn't seem like they have a lot of money to do this kind of stuff right now. But if you're asking me if they're going to sign a veteran at some point before we get into OTAs or even training camp, yeah, I think that they probably will. It's a question of at what level are they fishing, and I think it's more along the value portion of the market.
You mentioned spending money. They spent money late last night jumping on Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, that's big money.
Cut by the Browns. What's your assessment of that whole thing? Because here's the fan base's reaction is we didn't get Milton Williams and kind of laid low for a little bit. The Browns then basically had to cut Dalvin Tomlinson, because they gave, Myles Garrett $40 million.
Yeah.
And so the Cardinals kind of went over the top on this nose tackle. Walk us through your assessment of how that deal got done.
Yeah, it's good value. I say it's good value. It's big money, but it's good value. Dalvin Tomlinson, we probably don't give enough love to for what he means and for what he's been over the course of his career. I still, to this point, don't know why the Giants didn't resign. Giants drafted him and then didn't wind up re-signing him, but he's been a productive guy. He's been a reliable guy. Let me look at the number of games played. I know he's talked about 16. He had 1 year, 22, where he played 13. Every other year played 16 games. So he is a reliable guy, an available guy. I know he's on the backside. He's on 31 or 32 at this point, but defensive tackles can play into their mid-30s, especially a guy like him who takes such great care of his body and understands so much about the game. So I don't know. Is there a connection? Is there somebody who coached him before? I'm trying to think of possible connections there.
The Cardinals have their fingerprints with Cleveland. They have multiple assistant coaches that have come from Cleveland. They have strength and conditioning people. So definitely a connection there. Historically with Gannon and Drew Petzing.
I just know that the proof is in the pudding with Tomlinson's deals that he has done over the course of his career, whether it was the one with Minnesota, and he's done short ones, 2-year deals, and he keeps cashing in. So give him all the credit for that, because that's a good way to earn things as you go along there, rather than one big deal and then you come off of that and people kind of look at you a little bit differently. He's been productive, and the fact that they committed what they did shows you that they agree with what I've heard plenty about Dalvin Tomlinson, that he's got good football left, especially because he's been so reliable.
Kyzir White unsigned. The Cardinals basically made it known to him because he put out basically a social media post, Mike, 4 to 6 weeks ago saying goodbye. So I don't know if Arizona straight up told him he wasn't coming back or he'd be allowed to test the market. It is funny. He's been one of the more productive linebackers in the NFL. A lot of these guys got signed. Nick Bolton, Sunday, Monday, Greenlaw. And the Cardinals are going out kind of doing mid-tier moves at linebacker. Is there an avenue for Kyzir White to return in the right circumstance? Yeah,
it's may wind up being one of these things where you think your market is what it is and you have a hard time accepting that, and it takes you a while to get to that point. So I think he's probably one of those guys, and I know that Gannon likes him and has experience with him, and that's why he's in Arizona, or he was in Arizona. You say goodbye because they tell you, look, we're not, you've got an idea. That's not where we are. Go ahead. good luck on the market, go test it. So when he said goodbye to that regard, it's probably along the lines of that. But if he comes back at a different number, all of a sudden, are they more amenable to making that happen? Perhaps. But he seems like the kind of guy who is having trouble kind of getting to a number that he thought in his head. We'll see where it goes with him.
Let's keep it on the defensive side. Like we had heard the Cardinals are going to add a veteran cornerback. Have you heard anything as it relates to some good value signings that could happen at the cornerback position? Asante Samuel, Rasul Douglas, is there a reason why, as opposed to a lot of these other positions, my cornerback has kind of been the one? Maybe there's some good value here later in the week.
Yeah, there is. And there's veteran guys to be had out there, depending on where you want them to play. I mean, Mike Hilton, more of an inside guy. Rasul Douglas has never quite, he had that 1 year where he really, I think he just picked off a bunch of passes, was in Green Bay, all of a sudden was thought highly in the free agent market and did do a decent deal that year. Not great, if I recall correctly. And then has had trouble kind of duplicating that. The Asante Samuel one is interesting to me. I had thought that he was going to be making some visits to teams, and I don't know if that's been reported. I think he's going to have to go that route. He's going to have to go visit with teams and meet them old school free agency face to face and get a deal done that way. So yeah, there's Avonte Maddox, I believe, is still out there. That's another guy that has experience with Gannon there. Mm-hmm. So perhaps you could wind up hearing that he's going to pop up there in Arizona at some point. So we're out of phase one. We're on our way out of phase one of free agency, where all of a sudden it's like, and every year it's all of a sudden it's like the offers drop off. And so it's almost like accepted that, okay, now we're out of that kind of funny money portion and dropping off. So I think that's where we're going to get to as we get into next week with a lot of these guys.
You mentioned last time you were on with us, they were going to not aggressively look at a quarterback, but you wouldn't be surprised if they brought in a veteran, and they did so. Jacoby Brissett on a 2-year deal. Why is that the right move for this team? Why is that the right move, putting in a quarterback room with Kyler Murray, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy that I trust to go in there and play and win games if you need him. Now, I wouldn't be my long-term solution, which is why he's signing as a backup and not a starter. But he is one of the top 5 backups that you could have, I think. Jameis Winston to me is in that bracket as well. I think they were in on Jimmy Garoppolo at one point, the possibility of him winding up in Arizona. Like at least they talked to him, but Garoppolo wanted to stay put in Los Angeles. Maybe even had some other opportunities. He maybe even had some other opportunities elsewhere to potentially compete for a starting job, but decided that he wanted to stay with the Rams there. So yeah, I mean, that's why I'm not surprised that they want a guy who, if Kyler Murray's nowhere near being benched, but if it gets to a point where the play drops off and they have to make a decision, maybe a hard decision, you may be hearing some calls for Jacoby Brissett, and maybe that pressure might wind up being good for Kyler Murray. I know that they want him to take that next step back up to it being a top performer next year. Who knows? Who knows what the arrival of Jacoby Brissett, a guy who has been a starter for at least stretches of time in his career, will do for him.
Yeah, 2-year contract too, I thought was interesting, where like he's going to be around. Maybe Kyler Murray doesn't work out this year. Maybe he's a bridge to a rookie. Maybe he's a bridge to somebody else, or maybe Kyler Murray, elevates, which is what they hope for.
I think they definitely wanted to. I mean, to have you didn't sign him just to send a message, right? But that's part of it. It's like we've now got a guy who has started before. If we have to go that route, and we're way early on that. I don't want to make anybody think like all of a sudden we're way early on that, but we may be having a different conversation come October, November. We shall see.
You got to win games late in the season. You can't go 2-5 down the stretch.
And if he gets hurt, you got a guy, again, if you need him to start 2-3 games while he's hurt, you feel good about that.
Absolutely. Certainly upgrade over Clayton Tune. We asked you last time, the Scatterboo noise is quieted now during free agency. And of course, he's going to ramp up here. ASU's Pro Day right around the corner. We hope he runs well. Any news on Scatterboo, if that was a top 30 visit or was officially a top 30 visit? I clarified that. It was a top 30 visit. I believe it already happened too as well. It was not just a local, because the local visits usually happen. You have a local day, and you guys that come in, and they didn't want him to be part of that. It was more of a, hey, we really feel good about this guy. We want to have a top 30 visit, which is a much different, more in-depth visit that you have with a guy. So that was a top 30 visit for Cam Scatterboo, who's got a bunch of them coming up. There's going to be a lot of interest in Scatterboo because he really performed well at the combine. You know what the tape says.
So a lot of teams want to go in depth with Cam.
Lastly, before we get you out of here, any news on a potential Trey McBride extension? The Cardinals still have some money left over. No, that wouldn't necessarily hit this offseason, but any maneuvering with the Cardinals, like current crop of not free agents, but existing players to get extended, like a Trey McBride.
That's budgeted. That's absolutely budgeted. I have not heard that it's imminent, but that is something that they're going to continue to work on through the offseason. A lot of times you'll get that stuff as you get into OTAs, mini camp, or maybe before the start of training camp. That's probably the timeline that I would put on that one.
All right, last question that I promise I'll get you out of here. Hey, landscape of the NFC West now. San Francisco looks like they're not tearing it down, but clearly they're in transition. Seattle basically looks like, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, like they won games with their defense last year, so they're going to try to upgrade. And then the LA Rams are clearly going for it with Davante Adams. Like, how do you see the shakeout happening in this division?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams were the team that was closest to beating the Eagles in the postseason, brought guys back, added with Davante Adams. I think they feel really good about where they are in an ascending team, considering how much youth they have, particularly on the defensive front, which is a huge part of building things in this league and continuing to be successful. The Niners one is interesting because they still have a lot of talent on that team. There's no question. Can these guys stay healthy? Right? Can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy? Can Trent Williams stay healthy and stay on the field? It's still going to be competitive at the top. And I give the Cardinals, like, this has got to be the point at which you've got to announce your presence in the division. This is year 3 for Jonathan Gannon. They're starting to get more talent. We'll see what comes out of the draft, but you're going to have to rely on those guys to contribute as well. This roster should feel like we're talented enough to get to the point where we can make noise in this division. Can they compete with that? I put LA and San Francisco on that top tier. Can they announce themselves and be part of that tier? I think they have to be this year to feel good about where things are going. And I think they feel that way internally as well. We've got top tier coverage. Our guy, Mike Garofalo, NFL Network. Check him out on Twitter. And of course, the Insiders podcast. Thank you so much, Mike. Looking forward to talking with you later in the offseason. Absolutely. You got it.
Mike Garofalo there, getting it done. Johnny, a great interview. Mike requested to give Johnny the full floor, wanted him to work on his skill set. And I just kind of sat as a proud parent on the sideline.
You were with Sweaty J. And so Dirty Mike and the boys was just Mike and JV today. And we debriefed that coming up on PHNX Cardinals. Drop a like. I'll tell you what I'm liking, that the Vice is over and I can be a bad boy again at Circle K. Get all the sweet treats that my heart desires. You ever been to Circle K? Ripping Polar Pops? You know your boy has a time or two. How about some sweet treats? How about the original, the OG treats that they got, like the sour candy gummies that we have in the studio? Those are fantastic. There's so much good stuff with our friends at Circle K, and you're going to save right now by becoming a member of the Inner Circle. All you got to do, so easy to download the Circle K app, enter your phone number and your email, and that's it. They don't need anything else. They don't need your social security number. They don't need your, name of your firstborn, your home address. No, email, phone number, you're saving money. Like, save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents per gallon every single day. Thirst, my friends, has met its match. Again, 79-cent Polar Pops, Frosties. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details.
Frosters, Elite, Polar Pops, Elite, coffee at Circle K. Can't beat it. I'm glad we're back. We're so back. So is Cornbread Hemp. You got to check out Cornbread Hemp right now. It's America's first ever USDA organic CBD company. Their mission at Cornbread is to improve the quality of your life with the highest quality hemp right now. Check out Cornbread right now and use the code PHNX. Save yourself some money while you're doing it. Check out Cornbread offers free shipping and backs all their products with a 30-day better life guarantee. The whole thing here is looking for a healthier way to relieve aches, pains, while getting a better night's sleep. Why not check out Cornbread Hemp's USD organic CBD gummies? Cornbread offers the first ever USDA organic CBD gummy in the United States. It also helps stress relief, better recovery, and improved sleep. Go over to Cornbread Hemp right now, cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX, and use the code PHNX for 30% off your first order. That's cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX, code PHNX for 30% off at first order. Ooh, this is the good life.
So good of you to like this video. Like it if you like what you see from our guy Mike Garafolo, bringing the heat like he only can. I didn't even realize it. So that was pre-taped, obviously, and he telegraphed the Asante Samuel visit that wasn't announced yet, basically saying he didn't confirm the Cardinals' interest. But he's like, Asante Samuel's going to have to take visits, and then it came out he's taking visits with the Arizona Cardinals. So I thought that was interesting in hindsight. But your takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, where do you start? I thought obviously identifying that Milton Williams was indeed their top target. It wasn't, it was always Josh Sweat. No, I mean, hey, you get into a 3-hour negotiation with the guy and you're into the bitter end, and then the Patriots use the ultimate trump card, all that cap space, and they weren't going to be outbid.
Yeah,
Cardinals were in there. They wanted to make a play for Milton Williams. Milton Williams, he eventually just took the highest bidder. And then the Cardinals pivoted to Josh Sweat, got him in the building and worked on their biggest weakness, and then went to Dalvin Tomlinson yesterday. I think he sees Sweat and Tomlinson as guys that did well for themselves as far as their markets and cashed in. And I think that that's what free agency is. Otherwise, you just got money to just stow away that you're not really going to get to utilize on a rainy day. And like the Scatterboo stuff too was interesting to me. Like Scat coming in, it's not just a local visit. There was him coming into the building on an official top 30 visit. They liked his makeup. And then Trey McBride, it's just they've got their little nest egg set aside. They're ready to make the deal. It's just they're focused right now on improving the team through free agency, and then we'll get to it when the time comes. I don't think any of the parties are getting eager or bent out of shape over there not being pen to paper yet on that.
Mekhi Becton's market not transpiring well for him. That's unfortunate. And you and I are fans. I'd be a fan of that move, but Garafolo echoed what a lot of us thought, like pre-free agency, like you got to feel really good about the young man before you give him tens of millions of dollars guaranteed. Nobody's ready to pull that trigger. Like if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you're probably just sitting back and, maybe you're open to bringing him back. I know they traded for that guard from the Houston Texans, but clearly Will Fries, Trey Smith were in a class of their own. And then you got some trades that the Chicago Bears were doing to get guards. Like this was all pretty well telegraphed. If it was easy as, Mekhi Becton's a stud ready to play wherever, the Bears would have signed him. There would have been multiple teams bidding for him. So that's something that Bears watching. And I think, for the Arizona Cardinals, you can, whether it's he or Dalton Reiser or whomever, like you can bring in a depth player here or a starter in like a week to 10 days if that market swings back. Cause he echoed it. Bo was like, the first wave is over. Like nobody's getting a 4-year, 5-year contract now. It's going to be a series of 1, 2, maybe 3-year deals, although that feels like a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, Becton is a curious case because it's tough to really kind of examine it and see, like, was he just in the best possible situation that was conducive to him being successful, kicking inside from outside where he was a bust. There's no that you can't argue he was a bust for the New York Jets. But going to the best offensive line and playing alongside Jordan Mailata, or if he had the kick inside on the other side of the line with Lane Johnson, those are two of the best tackles in the league. And then you got what they've got going on as they were able to kind of with Cam Jurgens at the center. So it's tough to be bad when you're just kind of bookend by really good offensive linemen. So trying to decipher, like, was this legit? Was this a Mekhi Becton breakthrough? Or was he just a product of the Philadelphia Eagles just ironclad offensive line system?
Yeah, I just feel like I would be fine with maybe like a 2-year deal and you front load a lot of the money and you see, like, because once you know if it's a fit, then it's a fit and you can parlay that. He also taught, like, Will Hernandez would have been re-signed. We all felt that way before his injury. Like that was trending on being like a pre-free agency signing, like James Conner and Budda Baker, and you just feel gutted for him. The Kyzir White market, does it come back into the Cardinals' favor? I know they signed 2 linebackers, one of which is purely a special teamer, but I would love to see that market swing back for Arizona. I think they're better off with each other than with other teams, but maybe the Cardinals are just like, we're going in a different direction.
So romantic. The way you describe that. That's just beautiful. I think they're better with each other.
You ruined my analogy.
You got Nick Rollis and Monti Ossenfort running through TSA to get to the gate at the airport. Kyzir, don't get on that plane.
We got Dalvin Tomlinson. We can work it out. We got real defensive linemen now.
Look, the guy, as far as Akeem Davis Gaither, I think they like his athleticism. They like his versatility. He's a hybrid guy. And then the guy Michael Walker that they officially signed today, like, and because you're saying goodbye, I don't know. I think it's pretty far fetched to think that they're gonna reconcile.
Well, cold water on that subject, but
Wait,
yeah, I'm with you.
I mean,
no, I'm with you. I think the same thing.
She dumped you, bro.
Who doesn't like to be romantic about football? She did dump me, and I'm stalking her Instagram. I'm stalking Kyzir White's Instagram right now. I'm liking photos from 3 years ago at 11 p.m. like a creep. Big time creep.
Buddy. The Cardinals did make a move, though, while you were talking to Mike G. Oh, did you feel that?
Tell us about it.
We're shook. Like the earth, it shook. I don't even know. Like, it was really kind of you got the Dalvin Tomlinson move, you got all the other moves, and then there's this one. Jake Curran coming over from one of the offensive lines that you probably don't want to take anybody from, the Chicago Bears.
Ooh, bear down.
They're signing a backup guard from one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. Jake Curran played 260 snaps primarily at the left guard spot for the Chicago Bears. He played 3 seasons in Seattle, never really kind of truly caught on there. Been a backup guy. This is just somebody that's going to try to come in and compete. Like
trying to make the roster.
Yeah.
All I have to say is thank the football gods that this signing was today and not this time yesterday, because I might have literally vomited on air. If it had happened yesterday, literally this time, before Dalvin Tomlinson and Asante Samuel are in the fold, I would have.
It would have been like an expletive laden. We would have had to gone off air because of what the tirade that would have come out of your mouth.
I would have been like, he just doesn't get it, folks. Like he's competing against himself. But no, I mean Tristan Cologne's replacement. I just really like I'm warming up to the idea, and I don't know if that player exists now. It's like, can you get somebody to come in and compete with Evan Brown at left guard, and then Evan Brown becomes like your swing interior offensive lineman? I like that. I like what I hear about that
guy, right? He can play all 3 spots. That's great. That's what they want. But at the same time, Monti Ossenfort's, I think, proven he can find some diamonds in the rough as far as the offensive line. Like,
sure,
has he really kind of brought any stinkers to the plate?
No, they've all been. I mean, Jonah Williams, his pedigree was worth the contract he got, and his contract was fine. He was hurt. Like, that's not awesome. Who's he signed that comes in like that guy can't play?
Right.
Like maybe.
Elijah Wilkinson.
Yeah, I mean, that year though was such a disaster.
Dennis Daly. Oh yeah, that guy's stunk too. But those guys never really like
Froldhold, Evan Brown were both slam dunks. I mean,
bringing back Beach, bringing back Hernandez, saying, hey, like these guys can play.
Those are they whomever their pro scouts are up front on the offensive line has been great. Defensive line, we need to see some changes here. I thought you were going to announce Asante Samuel. Announce Asante Samuel.
Come on, I wish I could. But it's quiet out there on those Twitter streets.
Everybody who's watching it's not quiet on our streaming partners. If you're watching on one of our many, thank you. And jump on over. The party continues at gophnx.com. We're jumping into the super chats here. But first, I'd be remiss. This time last year through April, we had a very serious conversation about one Marvin Harrison Jr. and the impact his arrival would mean on the desert. We even dedicated a show to the plethora of money and the historic number we would see from his jersey sales. I went on the record. I thought it would be the fastest selling jersey in the history of the franchise, certainly for a rookie, but for a new acquisition. And then we waited and we waited and we waited, and it never came to fruition. And to this day, you cannot buy an MHJ jersey unless it's off the dark web. Well, Bo, that appears to no longer be the case almost a year later, my friend.
Yeah, look, your nightmare is coming to an end. You can spend that hard-earned dollar on a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey or other memorabilia that you've been robbed of the entire extent of his rookie year. Ever since he was drafted in this organization, you haven't had a legit chance to get that authorized stuff. but now you can. They discontinued the lawsuit from Fanatics. They were levying against Marvin Harrison Jr. in his camp, accusing him of breach of contract on a deal that they signed him to back in his Ohio State days. And now they've been able to figure it out. Came to some sort of settlement, according to Darren Ravel. And number 18 should be available shortly. I did check out fanatics.com, and it continues to be a nightmare because you search Marvin Harrison Jr. and it's like, did you mean Ronnie Harrison Jr.? It's like, no, I did not. Give me the MHJ jerseys, or I'm going to hack your site.
All right, we'll burn this place to the ground. I saw number 18 on there, and it was a highly clearance AJ Green jersey. And I said, I don't want that energy right now. I'm trying to have a good day.
Right.
My son already asked me if we could drive out to Glendale and go to the team store. I immediately declined. I said, we will not be doing that. But the first
that poor little old lady, is she going to give your son a call that said,
oh yeah,
he pestered her for so long?
She's got a lot of people to call. She's gonna have to work through the weekend. There was also that show we did where I basically shared my screen and we were trying to do it from, I think, Fanatics UK or the NFL Shop UK, and I had to cancel my debit card from Desert Financial. There were a lot of shady stuff to come to this moment here, but we've earned it. So MHJ jerseys en route. All is right with the world.
Did you see that he lost close to $500,000, and who knows how much the team lost as far as its ability to promote, brand new player?
We talked about it. I'm like, Damon brought up a great point. Damon's point was consistent. It was like, if this is Michael Bidwell, just get involved. Somebody take care of this. It's just, I feel like, I don't want to say it was like bad financial advice, but it was just like, in the grand scheme of things, like, what could it have cost them to do it and to wrap up this deal last summer? Because clearly something got settled. Like, nobody was deemed, like, they tried to get it dismissed a couple different times. Did they not? Right. And it never got dismissed. So they had to settle. So I'm sure Marv, who he retweeted our beat account today, we appreciate you, MHJ, is ready for this to be behind him and to have number 18, not, bootleg eBay style number 18s, but real Nike Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys on display at State Farm Stadium this year.
Oh man, it's long overdue. And hopefully you still have that energy to go out and purchase one, because got to see it. I want to see, like, it's got to be the second biggest jersey next to K1 that's going to be at State Farm Stadium.
So today was a day where a lot of players were announced over the last couple of days. Sweaty J had his presser today. Patriots brought in Milton Williams. There was a team, not locally, but where we were just at the NFL Combine. They had a presser and a signing today as well. Let's take a look here at maybe a Cardinal in a prior life. How about that right there, Bo Brock? One Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. They're calling him
in the eyes. Don't look into his eyes. He's gonna snatch your soul.
They're calling him Indiana Jones because it's Indiana.
Oh man!
And I'm like, don't besmirch Harrison Ford like that.
That's that's guys. The guy just signed a $17 million deal, and he's dressed in his best Kohl's outfit.
That screams Indianapolis.
Yeah.
The best caption I saw to this was, somehow this is not AI. It feels like
the most mid to below mid quarterback battle this league has ever seen is about to transpire in Indianapolis.
How does Shane Steichen not get fired? I'm serious question. Like, neither of those quarterbacks are going to win. That division is terrible, but they got to play the NFC West. I mean, everybody's slobbering all over Shane Steichen 2 years ago. Yeah.
Crazy eyes, Indiana Jones.
Shane Steichen, can we get him on staff next year? Because he ain't long for this head coaching life. When you miss on Anthony Richardson and that's your solution, good luck to you, bro. Not a good way. But yeah, Danny Dimes could have been a Cardinal. Jacoby Brissett, top 5 backup, though, according to our guy Mike Garofolo. Jump into some super chats here. We got 1,800 watching live. Get over to YouTube and smash that like button. Hayden, how about this? $5. Oh, man, giving me some love. Thank you, Hayden. JV Scare Smiles Garrett back to the Browns on Radio Row. I don't know if I scared him, but I think he was afraid of me, not physically, but just in the sense, forcing the Browns to cut Dalvin Tomlinson, which leads to the Cardinals signing him. Thank you, JV, PHNX Impact. You're welcome. We do what we can here.
Yeah. It just a little butterfly effect from our guy just out there working as hard as he can on Radio Row. Did you see the little take on Myles Garrett today? It was a little excerpt that said it's well known within the Browns that Garrett is frequently late to the facility. He skipped mandatory team activities on multiple occasions. Veterans typically police the locker room on types of things and create culture of accountability. But here, it's the best player breaking the rules. That has to change now. They just gave him guy $40 million, got rid of one of their top defensive linemen to make it work. Brown's going to Brown. But Hayden, thank you for recognizing Johnny Venerable's service. We really do appreciate that.
I'm sure Myles Garrett at 30 years old, when he's making $40 million, now's the time he's going to change. This is it. This is when it's really going to happen. Not. Browns are going to Brown. That's right. Potato Bread, $9.99, Bo. Don't know if he's going to sign with us, but in y'all opinion, who's better, Asante Samuel Jr. or Sean Murphy-Bunting? Congrats to MHJ and Fanatics on settling their lawsuit. Sean Murphy-Bunting was really rough last year. And I think he's a good guy, and I think the players like him, but Asante Samuel Jr. has a much higher ceiling. There was Sean Murphy-Bunting's market last year. You got a 3-year deal, but it's basically the last year you can void out. I don't think it's very comparable.
Yeah, I think love to see competition between a pair of vet cornerbacks, and may the best man win. But I got a hunch that it would probably be like an Asante Samuel if they can get a deal done. Bees. I don't know what's going on. $2. JV, tell your boy Gannon, shut the facility down.
Is that so Asante Samuel can't leave? I like that. Listen, it's going to come down to like, he's probably upset he hasn't been paid yet. He was a top 50 free agent. Like, here's how they get him to stay. Pay him a bunch of money. Right. They have to get a veteran corner, though. That's what's been echoed to me, is they want to leave free agency with a quality guy that can come in and play. How many of those guys are available? I think it'd be this makes all the sense in the world.
Bees, don't buy in to Johnny saying that he's buddies with Gannon. You don't have to like entertain him and say, hey, he's your boy.
That's what you read from that super chat.
Charlie Sinclair. I mean, it's clear.
And Johnny's like, and B's good point. Jonathan Gannon is one of my best friends in the entire world. But getting back into what you were saying.
Shameless. The guy is so generous with his time, and Johnny just completely, like the new Tim Robinson movie where it's like where he misreads being friends with somebody and it's like a horror show. That's gonna be Johnny with JG.
Hey JG, it's me again. Read Charlie Sinclair.
You said we were gonna hang out. Charlie Sinclair, we mentioned this earlier, but don't want to burst your bubble. Asante Samuel Jr. cannot tackle.
Number one, I think they probably know that. Number two, like, this is free agency wave 2. You're paying guys to come in and have a role and hope that you can get diamonds in the rough. Hope you can get a guy who is talented, who is a second rounder, to come in and outperform his rookie contract. That's what this is. And I think for Cardinal fans, after we saw, some uneven play from Sean Murphy-Bunting last year, it's like, get somebody else in here. Give somebody else a shot. I know the pass rush wasn't good, but I just feel like it's a kid who, I mean, his dad's in the Patriot Hall of Fame. Is he in the NFL Hall of Fame? He's been around DB football his entire life, playing defensive back. I remember him coming out of Florida State. He was a dog. He was unbelievable. So, and he was good with the Chargers early on in his career. Like, he was not a bad player. He was a good player.
He profiles similarly to SMB, just how it's up and down, and on their good days they can be good, but then there's lots of tape out there that you're not gonna like. Dana R, $5. If I'm Gannon, the team is watching that Seahawks tackling video. Gross, I know, but those fundamentals. I
mean, we talking about how good they are tackling as a defense. I mean, I'm sure it bothers Dana, that Mike McDonald came to the NFC West and immediately won 10 games and immediately became viable and had the better defense. Like, I'm sure that bothers JG. but they were also in a different spot. I mean, Pete Carroll was winning 9 games every year. That's what the team that he took over. Gannon took over a tire fire of a roster and a team. So this year, I think we'd all be universally disappointed if the Cardinals defense was not top 10 in the NFL. If you said that to a casual, they'd be like, what are you talking about? ESPN picked them to finish last. They were 15th in total points. Like, a couple more moves here, and it starts to creep a little bit, especially when you're facing Trevor Lawrence, Dirt McGirt in Tennessee, Cam Ward or whatever. I mean, like, there are opportunities for this team to really help themselves.
Damon Cat. Damon, you want to read this one?
You got it.
All right. Meow. Nice to see Damon Cat back in here. I know you probably don't feel that way.
It's been a minute since my arch nemesis has popped in the chat.
The profile pic, the time, the effort to put whiskers and cat ears and feline eyes. That's you got to give credit where it's due, Damon Dawg.
That was like peak last summer when that avatar emerged. It was like we were doing 9-9 and 9 challenge, and there's a person in the chat, just Damon dressed up as a cat. Drew White,
at least woof back. Bark.
Bark, bark.
Go. Defend yourself, by God.
You've lost your edge since you stopped working out. $5. Great work, boys. Asante and a solid guard. We can go into draft best player available. If they get Asante Samuel Jr. and a notable guard to come in and compete, I mean, it's been a hell of a free agency. There's still some people who think they might sign a wide receiver. Let's see how that plays out for them, but they're about 2 moves away from me to just stand up and applaud Ossenfort.
It's
solid so far.
Just the work he put in after tearing this crap box of a roster down and in keeping, the parts that were worthy of keeping, and then like infusing this roster with 25, 30 like first and second year players, and you're seeing like the fruits of that labor, and just how like when you add these pieces and supplemental pieces in free agency, just how it's changed the complete complexion of this roster and how you view it.
Yep, no doubt.
Greg Hanlon, my guy, caught up at KTR like a couple months ago. We were just a couple dads hanging out. He said, "Step back from the ledge, JV. Bears guard incoming." Like he was saying, if that had come down at this time yesterday, I don't know if we're able to get him off.
You're lucky, Monti Ossenfort. You're a lucky man. That would have been a horror show. Twitter would have burned. Now everybody's just like, whatever, moving on. They had to leak the Asante Samuel Jr. Visit before that puppy got leaked out. Chaz, $4.99. I love this show. Best place for card fans. We appreciate you, Chaz. We do our best. Is JV going 11 rounds in the ring with expired Jarecki? Wouldn't take 11 rounds. JV wins knockout and Jarecki with Rams and Seahawks. Headstone. Wouldn't take 8 rounds. But no, I'm not. Yeah, big AJ and big Justice, my trainers, walk me out.
Yeah, that's
boom.
This fight ain't getting physical. That's for sure. I called it. I officially called it out after Saturday. It goes in favor.
Been awfully quiet
Johnny V.
hasn't he?
Yeah,
awfully quiet.
You know how boxers have like their like nickname?
Yeah.
Johnny's being like the fanboy is pretty special.
Weighing in at 160 pounds, the fanboy, Alden Gilbert.
Johnny the fanboy Venerable.
Woo! He actually Clancy told me he called him a fanboy too. I'm like, get some new material, man.
He doesn't have any. First, he doesn't have an original thought. He doesn't have any new material. It's all expired milk. Dana, $5. Pete Carroll brought the rugby folks, made Hawk tackling video. Seahawk tackling video. You aren't online enough, apparently. Great resource for head coach tackling fundamentals.
Dana, my wife would disagree with you. I live on the internet. Never not on the internet. But
I do down to the nitty gritty, watching some Pete Carroll with a rugby team teach his defense how to tackle.
No, I'm too busy just hammering out. I don't even know.
You're just watching Dalvin Tomlinson move people.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns.
No doubt. I think the Cardinals tackled pretty well. The Cardinals won 3 home games. I give them a touchdown. Like they're a well-coached defense. They just need better players. The Seahawks have significantly better defensive personnel.
Max Melton and Max Melton and Garrett Williams and those safeties and the linebackers, they're sound tacklers. You know, you're not going to have, like, you'd love to have 11 guys that are tackling machines just full of tackling fuel. But at the same time, like, if you got somebody that skill set is covering, holding down outside, being on an island, like, I'll take that.
They just need better defensive linemen. This is just, it's the broken record on this show, and they're getting there. No doubt. We're getting there in terms of likes. 1,800 watching live, 700 alone on YouTube. Banner show today. Josh Sweat, Asante Samuel Jr., Mike Garofalo, and more. It's been a banner day. What will tomorrow bring? Could we get an Asante Samuel Jr. signing by this time tomorrow? That'd be something.
I'm anticipating as soon as we turn off these mics and these cameras go off, that deal's going to go fish.
You know what'll happen. You know what'll happen. I don't want to say it.
We're gross. We're sick. And yeah, you can bet your backside that we're doing another emergency. Yeah.
Remember this? Remember this right here? Remember how the week was going when this had to be pulled out?
That was only Tuesday. This is our 7th show of the week.
Boom! What do you think of that guard signing from the Bears? Doom. I'm going to give that a big doom. How about
Look
that?
at this. Look at that. Free agent arrivals. Where's our sweet boy Dalvin Tomlin?
Oops. I meant to do 5 spots for him. And then I added Jake Curran. Jake Curran just took the baton.
The guy's so big he needs his own little graphic.
I'm hearing the Cardinals voided their deal with Dalvin Tomlinson so they can get Jake Curran.
Don't say that. Are we actually going to end this thing before 90 minutes? That's insane.
I'm sorry. I was trying to give us a little breather here, but then we got another super chat. Tivado, Johnny Cakes, aka Johnny Mocha, over to Turdecki by KO. I'm going to tell you, I've had a mocha since the Vice has been over, and you know what?
Did you ever tell your wife about that story?
She watches the vlogs. Yeah.
So she knew the controversy, and did she tell you how dumb you are?
No, she was like, I agree with you 100% and support you in every way.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Your
wife is the voice of reason and logic. She would never say, oh yeah, a mocha's not a sugary treat.
No, we just don't vibe like that. You know, we're like this. We're like this every day. No, she definitely was like, are you a moron? And I'm like, I'm on no sleep. I'm sleeping on a cot. Everybody in my house had the flu before we went to Indianapolis. I was barely alive. They pulled me up by puppet strings. That's right. I fought the good fight that week. Thanks.
You did it. We got it done.
Now we're back, and we got a banner. The draft is still roughly 4 weeks away. The stuff we have planned between now and the draft, you guys it's going to blow your mind. Some in-studio stuff.
Yeah.
Some on-location stuff. I mean, if you're just thinking, well, free agency's over and that's it for PHNX Cardinals until the draft. No, my friend. White to JG at the airport. Yeah. You had me at hello.
For Kyzir White in our rom-com scenario.
Where's I haven't even heard him connected to anybody.
Yeah. I saw some guy cosplaying as an NFL insider that was saying, like, you know, the market's hot for Kyzir and the Cardinals are still in it. And I looked and he had like 300 followers. It's like, come on. Kyzir White, it's like on paper, like, DC named his kid's middle name after him and he had 135 tackles. It just makes sense. But Cardinals have been, saying they want to get younger and athletic at that position. They've got 2 signings of guys that can play snaps there. Mac Wilson and like Papo on the roster for depth. It just, I don't know, man. Like, as much as I love talking to Kyzir White press conferences and watching him play ball, like, seems like the writing's on the wall.
They also, and this is what's going to be interesting about the safeties on this team, they don't like paying off-ball linebackers. Like, they're paying these other guys. Mac Wilson Sr.'s not making very much money. on a 3-year deal. That kid from Cincinnati is making no money. Like that, again, like 3 years ago, we would all been begging for that after the horror show of Steve Keim. Like,
Right.
I don't have an issue if you perform paying defensive tackles and ends and going cheap at linebacker. Again, people are going to think I'm a broken record. They started a converted safety and a late round pick in Philadelphia en route to the Super Bowl. Like that's their MO. And I have concerns about like, if they roll with Jalen Thompson this year, like this is the last time they're going to be paying big money, multiple safeties.
Right.
Like Buda Baker's an exception. Jalen Thompson has played well and got an extension from Steve Keim. They want to do the Taylor Demerson route. Middle round guy, high athleticism, pay him no money until absolutely necessary. We're seeing now, like Paris Johnson Jr. is going to get $100 million, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., hopefully the same trajectory. Trey McBride's going to get $20+ million a year. You know, there are things lined up here now that are going to need attention, but it has to coincide with winning, and it starts this year. Like, I'm sure people have heard, like, Cardinals are saving money to re-sign their own. It doesn't matter unless you start winning.
Yeah.
You got to win games. And then you can be the 49ers and these other teams that are doing deals with their own. Oh, free agency's fool's gold. Well, sure, if you're the Ravens, if you're the teams that are well-run every year and you're re-signing your own guys, Matabuke style.
Yeah.
But when you're the Cardinals and you haven't drafted well for 10 years before Ossenfort, you got to sign some guys to get you to the next phase. Then if you want to be frugal next offseason after winning 11 games, I'm going to be fine with that. Do what you need to do.
According to Jordan Schultz, the Jaguars not in on Cooper Kupp. We'll see where he lands. That's one of the interesting names this NFL offseason. That's about it. We got we're going to finally get a mock in tomorrow.
I mean, we'll see. We've been saying that for damn near 2 weeks.
Yeah, Fran Duffy just released his big board today. You got to get the most thorough breakdown of this draft class. It's gophnx.com.
I was happy Josh Norris gave him some love today too, and basically retweeted him and said, this is just cutting through all the BS that you see out there and then not doing like internet like-minded speak garbage where like, right. I'm Matt Miller and I'm going to think the same as all these other people. Sorry, I'm just throwing a name out there. But it's like, no, Fran Duffy grinds tape and he's like, This is my opinion. This is what I've seen. I've been a scout. I've worked with the Eagles. This is my honest opinion. Like a Dane Brugler, honestly.
Right. Matt Miller is I'm gonna mock in back-to-back first and second rounds the Cardinals taking cornerbacks. Like, Matt, kindly leave.
Leave this space.
Maybe
this is not for you.
So I'm talking about the Bears. Is like, I think we can rule out a guard. Yeah, 10th overall. They just got 2 guards. Yeah, I think we can rule that out. Thank you, Matt, for that incredible. How much do I owe you for that insight?
Like, I don't like to speak ill will of anybody on this podcast. That guy has been frauding it up for 10+ years. That guy was a benefactor of early years on Twitter and just beefing up a following. And good for him. He's made a living out of it. I would not consume his content. It's not worth it. But Franz is worth it, and it's available right now for free if you're a diehard. If you're not a diehard, what are you waiting for? I'm going to tell everybody right now, we got 1,800 people watching live. I know not all of you are diehards. It is the best environment for Phoenix sports fans. It's $36 for the entire year right now. You get a free piece of merch, t-shirt from the merchandise locker. You get access to everything on the website, money off events. And then what I think is one of the best things we do is we have a PHNX Cardinals Discord. So you can go in, talk shop. You don't get all the bots and the craziness on some of those public sites, right? If you become a diehard between now and tomorrow and you tag us on Twitter, immediate retweet and follow from the beat account and love from our peers. We want to grow this community. We can't do it without you. Become a diehard today. This is literally like stripped down $3 a month to the cheapest we can get it. I promise you guys want to take advantage of it.
Anthony asking if the new signing, Jay Curran, is good. Like, this is a guy that's coming on a 1-year deal. He's going to compete for a roster spot. That's the extent that you should know about Curran. He's not going to be somebody that they envision giving a key role on this team. Just adding some depth, probably through OTAs and training camp. If a guy makes a roster, then maybe he outperformed, what expectations were. But he played 260 snaps, guard spot for the Bears last year, which was one of the, worst groups in the NFL. Gave up 60+, nearly 70 sacks of Caleb Williams. Curran gave up, I think, 1 sack one of those sacks last year and 3 quarterback hits. So maybe he was one of the like few not terrible guys, but this is just, this is not a big time signing for the Cardinals.
Outside of the Jets, there wasn't a worse coach team in the NFL last year than Eberflus. And the only reason the Jets were worse because they had fired Robert Saleh. You could make an argument the Bears coaching staff last year was the worst we've seen in modern NFL history. I mean, they got rated last in the NFLPA grades. Like, if Gannon and Ossenfort and Petzing want to take a chance on a guy from Chicago, I have no issue with that.
Right.
I just, as a backup or a backup to a backup camp guy, the Chicago Bears with offensive linemen, it's like the Cardinals with pass rushers. It's just, it's the opposite of good.
We're at 250 likes, double that. Let's do it here after the live show. We love it. Does so much. It helps us so much here. And then like that diehard thing, $36. Are you a moron? JP's wife. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Also, Brian, a diehard of ours, and is says he loves it. It's well worth it. $36, man. Gonna get you in the door. You're gonna love it for the full year. Probably extend. It's fantastic. Yeah, Ozzy can't body as far as Jack Curran, no doubt about it. Hit that like, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Yes, you can, Joe Saunders. You can be a diehard in the UK, no doubt about it.
We welcome any and all Cardinal fans, not just here in Arizona. I grew up a Cardinal fan in the Midwest, so anybody is welcome. What a show! What a time! This team pulling around, man. Asante Samuel, could he be en route? Are you pro the Asante Samuel Jr. signing? Who else would you target? Drop it in the comments below. Like this video. For Damon Bo, I'm Johnny. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.